You bet, Kitty, you're all covered with crap.
What way to start a meeting with Kitty,
Sorry.
you're covered in crap. Greetings, gentlemen. We're now in August. It is the last official month of summer, in my view, so we have to enjoy it for what it is. Uh, but I think it's been pretty warm throughout, where almost everybody on this call has some form of warm weather. So, and I guess we want that to continue at least through August, and the fall will come. But at any rate, in terms of announcements, there are some big stuff coming. In fact, I apologize. I had to fix the calendar because I like to keep everything in calendar day order, and I somehow screwed up and had a couple of key entries a little out of order. Not a big deal, but a little out of order, and I fixed it just before the meeting. So, two big ones. August 13th to the 16th is the Ham Exposition Amateur Radio Convention in Marlborough, Massachusetts. And
Yes.
and we know there's at least two members that'll be there and presenting. And Tom's going to be one of them. And I am very disappointed I'll be missing it because I will not be back in time. But
We'll bring you some pictures, John.
yes, please, please. And I believe also um, another member, Andy Stewart, will be doing a presentation as well. So, and I don't know, and I'm sure there'll be other members who'll be attending, but you two gentlemen strike me the ones I know are doing presentations. But that's from the 13th to the 16th. Tom, what's the date to see you? Is that on Saturday?
Saturday at 4 o'clock. Yeah.
Great. And I'm trying to with Andy what day. I think is he also on Saturday or is he a Friday slot?
I don't remember. It's a pretty packed schedule, so I don't recall.
Okay.
Unfortunately, they've put a lot of people with really good talks in the same time
Ooh.
slot. So,
Ooh,
yeah,
even
I hate it because I'm up against one of my dearest friends who I'd rather go listen to than me.
right. And I'm kind of, boy, oh, well, next year I got to find a way to be there. Um, Also on August 16th, there'll be another flea at MIT Spot Fest. Of course, MIT's Electronics and Ham Radio Flea Market. And that goes from 9 to 2. Um, Back to the ham exposition, just go to the website for the full details and the hours, but especially it's a multi-day event. And
And
also
happily, the weather looks good.
good to hear. Good to hear. Um, Tom, will you be sleeping in your vehicle for the show or?
No, I actually am gonna break down and use the special rate in the hotel. Oh,
Wow. That's gonna be the word, the big talk at the event. Tom is not sleeping in his car. Uh, And also, for those of you who are in Portland, Maine area who may not be able to make it all the way down to Massachusetts, there is a record show at the Records Shows Maine from 9 to 3. That's at the Fireside Inn in Portland. So if
has
you're looking,
anybody been to that one? I'm wondering if they have equipment as well as records.
I do not know. I've yet to hear anybody, especially our main contingent like Joe and used to be Larry or Carl. I haven't heard anyone mention that before, so I'll have to ask them if next time they're on the call on one of our Zoom meetings to find out. But yeah, I'm not sure. Um, Maybe the one to ask if I when I see him at the next swap meet in Brookline is maybe Kenny Cool. I'm not sure if he heads all the way up there, but I know he does make some of those record shows. Um, but anyway, those are the key events before our next Zoom meeting, and things go quiet again until really mid-September. And of course, I'm sure you guys are starting to think about or getting warmed up for Kutztown, which is only about a month away. So Bob, I'm sure you're getting yourself ready, and uh, there
There it
you
is,
go.
September 18th and 19th.
Yeah, but we're the following week, the Fall Brooklyn
I
event.
don't have a suit that looks like that. I think that's AI. So 18th and 19th. So that's a Friday and Saturday,
All right. So start
September.
warming yourselves up, guys. Start, getting your reservations, get yourself all together, and it's right around the corner. Um, it'll come up before we know it. unfortunately, I did a lot. No, it won't be this time for me because I know I'm having friends in town that weekend. So
And it's a
anyway,
9 hour drive for me now. Boy, that's a long haul.
mm, indeed. That's what we need is a bus. We could, all us Nevic members just hop in a bus. We don't have to drive. We show up at a hotel. We have a good time, buy a bunch of toys.
If I still had my
I
airplane,
was just
it
gonna
was
say, you got
neat
to get the
because
plane back out.
yeah, I could land on the field right next door and I didn't even have to pay admission. I go through the woods.
Yeah. Tom, get, what, like especially especially a stall type aircraft, you could just drop it in and at 100 feet you're stopped and parked and ready to
That's
go.
a real
Yeah.
nice little airport right next to it, literally next to it. So it's perfect. And
You know,
I have a field, a runway in my backyard, but I'm much too old to do that.
well, yeah, in the spirit of vintage items too, you might consider maybe a biplane to
Maybe.
Oh man. So did I miss any other announcements that you gentlemen would like to share with the rest of us? I wanted to call up the key things, but I don't think I could think of anything else. I can't think of any ham events that aren't already in the calendar that I didn't already announce. But if so, if not, well then,
Okay.
I think it's probably time for round robin. So, well, anyway, let's see here. Who are we going to pick on? Well, Tom, what's going on in your neck of the woods? I know I got sharing it. Ah, see, all right. We're doing some sharing.
Be careful of your vertigo. This is just, I
Oh,
showed some pictures of this 80-foot man lift, and when it gets
Wow.
up to the full 80 feet, it gets really, really scary. But I thought I didn't have the pictures of the top of my tower. The whole reason for having it this high was to be able to go up to the top of my tower and adjust the antenna. So let me
Wow.
see if I can, yeah, that's a view out sort of over the buildings along some of the antenna wires. And this is the top of my antenna, uh,
Wow.
50 feet up in the air. And I needed to just renew a few wires up there. So uh, it,
Wow.
it takes a little while to get used to being up that high in a little bucket that's swaying around. And it's not something you want to do without gradually working into it.
Wow. And look at the amount of land you have out there that's mowable. That must take a long time to mow.
Yeah, it really does. It's horrible. It just goes on and on. The runway for the airplane is in back of that last building. You start over on the left, and you go uphill to the right.
Oh,
We don't,
I get to reduce the mowing. Had you thought about putting in some, concrete tarmac for to put something heavier down?
yeah. So that's that.
I love it. I love it.
Tom,
That
how many acres do you have?
I bought 75 initially, and I just bought another 100. The
Wow.
the unique thing is that this is entirely in national forest, and you just can't buy land in national forest. It's government land, but the old farmer hated the government with a passion, and the government wanted to buy it, and he wouldn't sell it to them. And I came along, and he said, "Man, New York guy, I'm gonna really hit this guy for big money." And we went and walked the land, and I walked around with the guy. Finally, I said, "Yeah, how much you want for it, Arthur?" He said, "Well, hold on to your hat. I want $10,000 for it in cash."
In cash.
In
Yeah.
cash. That government ain't gonna get a penny of my money. So that was 55 years ago. That was a good deal.
That's a very good deal. That's a very good deal. Wow. I imagine you cracked the gavel right there. Sold.
Yeah.
I
I
can
grabbed
relate
it.
to I can relate to your quandary with mowing the lawn though. I grew up to 7 acres. It's where I grew up. But we just
Mm.
had like a little riding mower and then we had like a 1948 Ford 8N with a bush hog on it and just do the field. But it seems like by the time when I was a kid, by the time I'd get through with everything, I'd have to start over again and do it all over again.
Yeah. Well, I just
Just got
sold
to
my
get
old
some.
tractor. I showed people on the alternative group that my old Massey Ferguson is
Yeah.
gone, and I have a couple of tractors now, and I'm just about to buy another one with a flail mower. And the flail mower is really neat because in Vermont, you don't grow crops, you don't grow hay, you grow rocks. And
Yeah,
so you
that's
need
New
something.
England.
So
You need
it's like a
something to
giant.
not only cut the hay, but cut down the rocks. Or,
It's like a. Is it like a
some,
giant weed whacker or something? It doesn't have
yeah,
blades that can get damaged.
yeah, a lot of
But
little
you just need
tiny
some cows and
knives.
goats.
Yeah, there you go. You're gonna, yeah,
Just some livestock. Get some goats, some cows. You won't have to mow
Have
any of it.
a
that's like
lot,
5,000.
literally a big lot of bears up here,
Really?
and coyotes
Mm.
and bobcats and goats don't survive very well, to
Well,
say the least.
it's a popular meal with the bear community.
Yeah.
Wow, bears. Are they regular visitors? Maybe visiting your shack.
Yeah, my neighbor had one in the bed of his pickup truck when he came out in the morning. And it's not, you don't want to leave a screen door. You want to put something behind the screen door because the bear will go right through the screen door into your house and see what kind of goodies you have for breakfast.
Indeed, indeed. Wow. Yeah, I could believe that. Wow. Well, that
Uh,
was pretty cool, Tom. I love those photos.
Yeah,
It's amazing that when you really see it that at a bird's eye view, how much land there is. There's a lot of mobile land. I mean, when I grew up as a kid, sort of feeding on to what Bob was saying is, we had maybe 2.5 acres of mobile land, and we did have a rider. And it took me. I usually did in the evening or or in the morning if I wasn't working. And it took, about an hour and a half to do the lower piece, which is the bulk of another hour. So it probably took about three hours worth of
same
work.
thing in Jersey when I had a house there, and the problem was you couldn't just leave the grass around. You had to vacuum it up and
Yeah.
tail the leaves and oh man, it was just a big pain in the neck.
Yeah, two things that I wish I had at the time was um, uh, they didn't really, it wasn't that common to have the deck that just sort of ground up the what's the term for where the mowers that just grind up
Mulching,
Mulching
mulching.
mower.
Thank you. It just
yeah,
kind of brain freeze, and also um, weed whackers that were electric or something. So have those
yeah.
two-cycle engines after a while get a little tired of doing all of that because you always all the smell and all. It's like, oh, but
I'm
anyway,
lucky. I'm lucky because I don't have any neighbors to complain if I don't mow.
that
And
is
the
true.
other unique thing is I don't have any zoning whatsoever. I mean, zero zoning. So I can hang electric wires from bare nails if I want across the top of my home and put plumbing in with three different kinds of pipes and nobody cares.
You've probably
Very,
got
very weird.
you've probably got 5 months of the year where you can't even see the grass anyway because it's underneath the snow.
Yeah,
So
6 months, right.
6 months. Yeah, I was trying to be
So
kind.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So you have to have equipment for the snow and equipment for the grass.
Yeah, that's funny. But well, thank you, Tom. Let's see here. So, hey, Pear, tell us about your recent hospital experimentations, and also you got some photos, I think.
Yeah, well, the as I mentioned before, there are three 2-week sessions, two of which I finished now, and the third of which I'll go into this Wednesday to be there for another 2 weeks until September 2nd. Um, and in each case, one has a certain menu that one eats for 2 weeks. That doesn't mean the same food at every meal, but it means a series of foods that rotates a couple of 3 times throughout the 2 weeks. And so the first two, to me, were both nice, healthy kinds of things. But the last one is the one that's been referred to as the American diet. And
Uh-oh.
while I was there, two participants came in to start the last of their 2 week sessions. And so they were getting the American diet. And so I could see that it was not very inspiring. So,
But
I mean,
maybe each gained 40 pounds.
well, the thing is, they're 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 do everything they can to make the amount so that you don't lose or gain much weight. And the way they do that is the first day, the very first thing I have to do is lie down on a table, and they put a glass, well, not plexiglass bubble over me, and it measures my breathing for half an hour. And somehow that translate, and since I'm not supposed to be moving or doing anything other than just being in there, um, that's supposed to yield my at rest calories, which came out to be about 1,350 calories. And that then allows them to extrapolate up from that value to what they figure, um, you know, I am moving around a little bit in the place. I'm not just absolutely lying down all the time. Um, so, and that worked out pretty well because um, when I went in for the session for the 2 weeks, it was I had it was 156 pounds. When I came out, it was about 154 pounds. So not much change. So
All right.
that was good.
What about exercise? Where are you able to exercise during the day?
Um, I had two choices. Um, one is doing whatever I felt like for exercise. The other is going to the exercise room and use the treadmill or a couple of other things. And in my first session back in May, I tended to go to the exercise room and use the treadmill. But this time, I just decided that I would spend 10 minutes walking around fast. Uh, and there's very nice walkway, which they use for various other purposes where people have to walk. So that's what I did this time. So I did that most days. But then they do offer the option of going outside, provided that a staff member accompanies them. I think I mentioned that already.
To
To
keep
keep
you
me
to
away.
keep you from eating a candy bar along the way.
Yeah,
That's
that's right.
right. Yeah,
Exactly,
like
exactly. So on a couple of days, that was my substitute exercise, and we were out for 40 or 50 minutes then, walking around Boston Garden or other nearby places that were worthwhile walking in. So anyway, here I haven't uh, perfected or revived or even learned some of the technologies about sharing and everything.
okay.
But so what I did this time is to have a couple of large pictures uh, to show you.
Great. Somebody
Um,
spotlight. Oh boy,
Oh,
Hudson.
wow.
Beautiful. Yeah.
Very
so
nice.
this, as you can guess, shows the two Hudsons that my friend Dan and McNichol and I drove across the country.
Hmm.
The first one is the top one, and he bought that car in order to drive around the country promoting his book, The Roads That Built America.
Ah,
So that's what we did 2003 into 2004. And he, of course, made the whole trip. I made parts of the trip. I was working, so I couldn't be there with him for the whole time. But anyway, that was the first trip of that car. And he not just went across the country, but he also traveled through a number of states. He went across the country to, I think, San Francisco, and then traveled down to San Diego and across to Arizona and things like that, and finally back to Boston. Then 2 years later, there was a celebration of the 50th anniversary of the signing of the Interstate Highway Bill. And that bill was signed in July of 1956. So way back in 1919, I think I probably told you this before, but I'll summarize it again. Eisenhower was an officer, a young officer, and the First World War was just over, and they decided to send a bunch of cars and trucks and motorcycles across the country
hmm.
to assess the condition of roads to see how long it would take that convoy of vehicles to get there. Well, it took the convoy 2 months to make it, and not all of the trucks made it because some of them broke through bridges and got damaged too much to continue. Of course, the bridges also got damaged. Anyway, so the government decided to have a convoy going from San Francisco, which was the destination of 1919, starting in Washington, D.C., and going to San Francisco, was to go from San Francisco back to Washington, D.C., and to get there on the 50th anniversary exact date of the signing. And so Dan said, our car is going to go on the cruise. He did not tell that to anybody associated with the preparation for this. So we had a delightful 10-day trip in May of 2006.
Mm-hmm.
And this picture was from a parking lot at one of the one of the national parks where we stopped along the way. So we had a delightful time. We drove 300 miles a day for 10 days out there and stored the car with a Hudson Club member nearby where he had to go to get to the event. And 3 days before the event was going to start, he got the car. I didn't come with him at that time. And he went over and introduced himself. And he's a good talker because he was a person, what do you call, a public relations man for the Big Dig back in Boston.
Oh, okay.
So he really know how to deal with all sorts of types of people. And he put that to good use, such that this car led the convoy out of San Francisco. And
Wow.
we have a picture taken by a drone, of this car leading the rest of the convoy out of San Francisco. And I was only able to join it when it had gone most of the way in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, and be with it till we got to Washington, D.C. So that was those were the big events for that car. Now,
cool.
then the next year was the 50th anniversary of Jack Kerouac's book On the Road. And so we drove over there to that, but that car's a 1951. So we said we ought to get ourselves a 49 sometime because the 49 Hudson was the star of the automotive show in terms of the Jack Kerouac's book On the Road.
Right.
So things went along, and we were not particularly energetic about doing that. But then Dan managed to convince a certain company, the Case Construction Company, the construction building company. They build backhoes and other kinds of
Yeah,
things.
sure.
And he talked them into giving him money to go around the country publicizing the need for infrastructure. So at that point, we wanted to get a four-door sedan this time because the things had been kind of cramped in the coupe. So anyway, because the theme of the thing was the aging constructor, the infrastructure may be working today, but it may fail tomorrow. We wanted to find a 49 Hudson where that didn't look so good. We hated to buy one and artificially mess it up. So I kept watching on eBay, and eventually I came up with the car that's shown in the lower picture here.
Ah,
And this car was owned by a woman who eventually, when the car had 32,000 miles on it, she put it in a shed and said, the car stays in the shed until I die. Well, she got to be well over 90 years old, so the car spent a lot of time in the shed,
sure.
where I'm not sure what the condition of the looks of the car were when it went into the shed, but the looks when it came out are basically what you see in the picture here, which was perfect for our situation. Meanwhile, the upholstery is absolutely gorgeously perfect. That was not damaged. She was very careful about the car, never damaged the upholstery. And so that car, the only problem was whoever put it in the shed for her didn't drain the water out of the cooling system.
Oh,
As
crack the
you who are
block.
old enough will remember, people were supposed to take their antifreeze out in the spring and put in water and then drain the antifreeze out and throw it away and put in antifreeze again. Well, so the motor was no good.
Yeah.
So we searched for a while to get an 8-cylinder motor. Um, actually bought one, but we had problems trying to get the thing able to run properly. So finally, at the end of messing around with it from 2011 to 2013, we decided to sacrifice an engine and transmission from the 51. So out from the 51 came the engine and the transmission, overdrive transmission, and got into the 49. And the nice thing about that was that the 49 had not been equipped with overdrive, so it had a better rear end ratio than the cars that were equipped with overdrive were equipped with a a 4.6 ratio differential, while the cars that were not equipped with overdrive were equipped with a 4.1. So by having the 4.1, that got us an extra few miles per hour without overspeeding the engine.
Right.
And the other thing was that the larger displacement engines in these bodies had a longer stroke.
Right.
The coupe came with the shortest stroke engine. So the combination of the short stroke engine, the nice axle ratio, plus us deciding to put tall bias type pliers on it, ply tires on it instead of the radial tires, which had been on the coupe, allowed us to happily drive at 70 miles an hour if we felt like it without damaging the engine. The engine piston speed did not get to be too fast. So therefore, on the trips with the 49, we drove 65 to 70. Of course, when coming to a hill, that's when the small engine would prove to be a disadvantage. And of course, would have to shift down to third
Yeah,
gear to do that.
right.
But anyway, the great percentage of the trip was not on roads with great. Most of the time, we stayed on the interstates anyway. So, um, uh,
Cool.
and so that the main trip of that car then took place 2003 to 2004, fall of 2003, and up through the February of 2004. And I was along on various parts of that trip. But Dan, of course, was there all the time. And I had to keep the car running. He had to keep his mouth running. So, so that's basically the summary of the information about this. If you put Dan McNichol Hudson into the computer, up will come a website, and God knows exactly what he has stored on it now. But you will certainly see some other pictures of the at least of the 49.
Wow, that Dan McNichol you said.
Yeah, McNichol.
Yeah,
So
got it.
now
That
let,
is
let
neat. Is that still
so
49 still around?
oh it's I'm replacing the gas tank in it right
Wow,
now.
look at
It's just
that.
down the block, and the coupe we gave away to a Hudson Club member. Uh, and now to get to the old stuff, that was the new stuff. Here are the two cars that I still have.
Wow,
They're
how
old.
cool. How cool.
Another time I'll have lots of pictures of
Okay.
old cars that I don't have anymore. But at the top is my 1935 Hudson, and on the bottom is my 1928 Packard.
Wow, I like it.
And
Look at those beasts.
and I've had the Packard for a long time. As I may have mentioned before, I took my driving test in it
Wow,
um,
amazing.
in
Amazing.
1954. I bought it from my best friend in 1953. And the highlight of that car's adventures were when he and I had jobs with the federal government. We were both engineering students, and they had a program called Student Trainee Engineering. And we met in that program the year before. We ended up towing the Packard all the way from West Virginia, where we stored it at his grandmother's garage, um, to the state of Washington, to the
Wow.
Grand Coulee Dam in the state of Washington. So we had quite an adventure, and he bought a 1939 Packard hearse, and we towed this car with the hearse. And I think this car actually weighed a little more than the hearse,
I
so
bet.
we had to be very careful.
Yeah, that's a big car. And
Yeah,
that's gotta
yeah,
be, oh my gosh.
143-inch is the wheelbase of the car.
Wow, that is
It
a
was
long.
the largest size of Packard during those years.
That's a
So
that is cool. You know.
and so, the Packard is right down my block, and I started recently. I often I haven't been driving it recently because I believe I've told you about the story of driving an old lady in her car,
All right.
her 1931 Packard. Um, and because of the fact that she always likes to go to the kind of places that I would like to go in my car, my car is sitting in the garage and at present is blocked in by a spare parts car that I have, not an old car. Um, anyway, So that's the Packard.
Wow, that is
Now,
cool. Yeah.
my best friend, the one who sold me the Packard, ended up buying a 1936 Hudson 8-cylinder car, which had very good acceleration for cars of that era. And the 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 best evidence of that was, do any of you remember the old Godfather movie, the first one?
Hmm.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right at the beginning of the movie, there are cars chasing each other across a bridge. And a 36 Hudson is able to go faster than the car it was chasing and then cut in front of it and force it to stop. So the choreographers of all the cars in that movie were very accurate in the cars that they chose for various things. And another scene in that movie, um, somebody is trying to escape in his 38 or 39 Packard, and the gang tries to follow him, but they follow him in a little Studebaker, and
That ain't happening.
No contest.
so no contest. Anyway, so um, eventually I was impressed by it, and so I told my friend Tom, um, uh, I want to find a car from a Hudson from the mid 30s, an 8-cylinder car. So I told every friend that I knew uh, who might possibly lead me somewhere, and one of them was a friend who was a salesman at a Volkswagen dealer in Greenwich, Connecticut,
Okay.
which is a very fancy town in Connecticut.
Sure.
And so it was a fancy dealer. And one time, a young man drove in a Model A Ford, uh, and they were chatting. He was chatting, Steve, he was chatting with my friend Werner. And he said, Werner, I said, Steve said, I have a 35 Hudson that I bought, which is sitting in a barn, and I don't think I'm going to be able to get around to doing the many things it needs to be a good running car again. It sort of runs, but that's about it. So Werner immediately told me. I got in contact with Steve, and uh, so I ended up buying the car. And I bought the car in the fall of 1962, and I paid the rent in the garage $10 a month until the springtime. And then I came to get the car. And I figured I had to do a couple of things in order for the car to be movable. And one of them was creating some sort of exhaust system for it. The muffler was there, but there wasn't any real connecting pipe up to the front. So I equipped myself with every possible thing you could buy from J.C. Whitney catalog. Some of you
Yeah.
may remember
Oh,
that.
sure.
And I approached the job one day on a Sunday, and there were two little girls who lived in the house, were associated with the barn. One was 7 and one was 4. So while I was working, I needed somebody to hold the flashlight. Well, the 7-year-old held the flashlight better than any adult I'd ever asked to hold the flashlight while I tried to do anything. She paid exact attention to what I was doing. Uh, knew when she had to push the flashlight down with her a bunch of tools for me to grab another tool, all of that. So at that point, I got a valuable piece of advice, of learning, which I used later in working with little kids, and that was that if some little kids are extremely intelligent and have great common sense in terms of doing something. So the next day, The 7-year-old one went off to school because that was a Monday. There was the 4-year-old one left. And she said, okay, now it's my turn to hold the flashlight. And she did a pretty good job with the flashlight too. So that was how my Hudson got started. And it managed to not make as huge a trip over to the West Coast, but it got to I've been when I came back from Africa in 1970. My wife and I used to drive to visit my parents in New York City. So we made a number of trips to New York City, going along on the Mass Pike and Route 84, stopping for gas in Newtown, Connecticut,
Mm.
going into town, came back out, bought gas again, came home. And that lasted until the gasoline crisis, when suddenly there was no gas on Sundays. And we had to find a different car. And we ended up with a 1960 Citroën that could make the round trip on one tank of gas. So at that point, the car was relieved of that duty, but that duty had kind of damaged the engine. It really needed a valve job, and things, it was beginning to burn oil as well.
Mm.
So when Tom, who had migrated to Connecticut, Quebec City, Connecticut, um, bought a barn, built a separate another building, this one with a barn, to his separate from his house. He said, "Have we got a car project that we could do here?" And I said, "Let me drive the Hudson up there, and so we can rebuild the engine. Get the pistons out and put rings on the pistons and whatever needed in order to get the engine to be in good condition again, and deal with the valves, some of which were really needy." And so when so I got the car up there. The engine, it had been stored for several years. The engine was in terrible shape. Got the engine running. It was just barely able to kind of move. So I took the flattest route to get up there to Quebec City, which involved the main turnpike.
Mm.
And little by little, um, cylinders came back to working that were not working. And so valves, because a couple of valves were exhaust valves were actually stuck.
Oh.
And so I managed to make it up there, and that was 1990. 1995, he was selling the barn,
No.
and the car was we had finished the car. Every time I would come up, we would work on the car some more, and little by little we got it done with some help from a machine shop and stuff. And then I drove the car back to Boston, and it now has about 7,000 miles on the engine overhaul. So
Oh.
you can figure out how few miles it's been going each
Yeah.
year.
Wow. How interesting. And the
So
fun thing is you still have both.
that's right. Well, as I said, so eventually I'll be able to provide you with a bunch of pictures of cars that I no longer have, and
Wow.
some stories about what happened to some of them.
Well,
But
that would
these are
be
the two that I still managed to keep. And it was only the generosity of several people that allowed me to keep the Packard, because when I went in the Peace Corps, the when we came back from towing the car to um, the West Coast, we stored it in Paul, that's the person I was doing that with, Paul's grandmother's garage, and it stayed there for years. And when I went into the Peace Corps, um, she said, if I die before um, Pear comes back, make sure the car stays where it is, and he has time to come and get it. So that was generosity number one. Generosity number two was when I was then going to go to Africa for 2 years in 19 1967, um, uh, I had the car stored in a barn behind the house and was paying rent. Unfortunately, the house got sold, so the administrator of my program, who fortunately was right here in Newton, found a place to put the car in a barn in Wayland, and the people there were so kind of intrigued by the car, and they had the space in the bottom of the barn. And the top of the barn, they had a horse. Bottom of the barn, the car went, and that car lived there until 1995. And in 1995, um, it came out to be towed because I couldn't get it running right away to a movie, and unfortunately they clipped the scene from the movie, but it went there. Pictures were taken of it in the movie. Anyway, that made me decide, okay, I got to get the thing running. And so a couple of years later, I got the thing going, and it first came out and ran under its own power uh, in around almost 2000, maybe 1998 or 99, something like that.
Wow.
So anyway, those are
How fun.
a bit of a history of the two cars, and uh, so that's it for now with the cars, I guess.
Oh, well, thank you, Pear. What an
Wonderful. Yeah.
interesting story, and hey, as the old advertisement for Packard went, Packard asked the
Now,
man who
for the
owns
fun of
one.
it, just because I did it for my own edification, um, I took pictures of the other car, other cars, this picture here. All right, this is the best, but I took pictures with three other printers. And just for the fun of it, this one here,
Okay.
almost as good, but you can tell that the lawn is not green.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yep.
and and the coloring of it is not as good.
Yeah.
But at least this one also has separate cartridges for each color. Then I got down to ones where there's no separate cartridge. There's just one color cartridge, and
Oh my
so
Okay.
God.
Yeah. Ooh,
so
pink.
you can
All
see
right.
the sad results
Yeah.
for that one, and it was no better really for for this
Yeah.
one.
Oh boy.
Starts getting
Okay,
awfully
so
noir looking, when it's close to going just
It's
black and
like it
white.
was taken through a rose-colored lens.
Yeah.
yeah, so I'm happy with my printers that have, separate color cartridges.
Yeah. No, the one you're holding is certainly the best of the lot.
Yeah, right. Well,
Oh,
and it's, by the way, it's 20 years old. It's I bought that one in 2006. Now it's 2026. The other printers were all given to me, and I don't know how old they are.
that's
But
funny.
the interesting thing is that all of my printers, if I try to use, if I try to feed my own computer into it, I only get black and white prints. These these pictures happen to be on a computer of comparable age to my set of printers. That's why they all print from this computer. I could print in color.
Ah, okay.
So anyway,
Right. Well, terrific, Pear. That was a lot of fun and appreciate all the backdrop stories, especially since it's so fun that you own these for so long that it really adds a lot of, sentiment for you, I'm sure.
yeah, and I am really happy that The hearts of these things still beat.
Hey, they're once running pretty indestructible.
Right. And once the gas tank is back in the new gas tank is in the 49, then I won't have to use a temporary supply of gas to bring it to the inspection station like I had to do last year.
There you go. That's funny.
All right.
All right. Well, thank you, Pear. So let's see here. Hey, Russ, you joined a little late, but glad to see you. How's things going?
Um, well, not too bad. Having some computer issues here. I've been in and out once on my
Oh,
phone,
oh yeah, I
seeing
noticed
if
that.
yeah, seeing if this connection will actually stay open. Um, yeah.
Seems to be holding.
So
So,
and it's things are freezing up quite a bit
oh,
too. I think
really?
you're. Oh, and I can't tell that.
Well, let's see if we can go through this. So what's going on your side?
I'm working on a Zenith transoceanic uh, A600.
Okay.
Um, I just had pulled the electrolytic can out, a little bit of a dig, rebuilt it, put it back in. Haven't finalized it yet, but it's getting ready to go.
Cool. Cool. Good news. So that's the because I think when you were last time, I think you were just bought it or were just starting to work on it. If
Yeah, so
memory
I had
serves.
another one, an
Oh, maybe.
HE005, and that one's finished, although just recently I'm having a problem with one of the tubes, which I need to replace. But otherwise it was running well. And so then I started on this other one, which actually came from the free table.
Oh, right. That's where I remember you mentioning the free table. That's pretty cool.
It
So
is, yeah.
so the H600 is still in progress, a work in progress still.
I'm sorry, the A600, you say?
Yeah, yeah.
Yes, it is. It is. It had a broken door for the chart, and I was able to find one on eBay to replace it. And the cord needs to be replaced. And unfortunately, I'll probably never find the right angle one, so I'll just have to put a regular one on. But otherwise, it's coming along.
Hey, Russ,
Yes.
if you go through my YouTube channel, I have an email address that you can contact. Send me your address. I'll send you a cord reel and a right ankle plug. I've got them.
Oh, awesome. That'd be great.
Look at that. All right, we have a parts
Oh,
exchange going on during our meeting.
thank you very much.
That's cool. That's
Matter
cool.
of fact, I just sent one to a guy in California 2 days ago, so I had two extra ones. So I've got one left, and it's got your name on it.
Awesome. That's great. I was very lucky to find it on the free table with an IL6 still in it and the 50A, what's the ballast tube? I think
50A1.
50A1 in it and working.
That's great.
All
See,
right.
I see you got a couple Crosleys on your table across from
Yeah, good catch.
got clock
Yes.
radio and something else there. I look like two vintage
Is it,
Crosleys.
let's try to spotlight,
There's a couple of, how I can see,
see if we can spotlight this in. Whoops.
aim it there a little bit.
Mhm.
Uh-oh, it's still black here. Maybe a bandwidth problem. Let me try moving it.
Two Crossleys there and a bunch of others.
Well, there we
One
go.
never knows. I could see them.
Oh, really? I know I
Yep.
couldn't.
Yeah, I could see them too.
Oh, there we go. Now I can
Yeah,
see. There we go.
yeah.
For me, it was not painting. It was just
Oh,
black.
Oh,
There we
really?
go.
oh.
There
Well,
we
probably
go.
the connection being a little bit on the slow side here.
Hey, you got a few things back there. You got a couple of
Oh,
cross.
there's an awful lot in here.
That's all right. That's fully to be expected in this group.
Right. There's another
Oh,
slide.
look at that.
Well,
That's a
being a
bench,
ham,
man.
you should be used to this slow scan television type thing that you ham guys do sometimes. That's what it reminds me.
But this
Right.
is, yeah. Anyways, see if we can get it back. That's about it. That's what's going on here.
Oh, all right. Well, that's pretty cool. Keep us posted as you progress with the 600.
Will do. And Bob, thanks again. I'll get your email and send you something.
All right, no problem. Just send me your address. I'll drop it in the mail for you.
Well, since we have Bob, we'll just hand over right from Russ to
Oh,
Bob. Bob,
geez.
what's going on with yours?
You want me to lull everybody to sleep now?
Nah.
I did have something I wanted to show everybody tonight, but um, we had the New Jersey swap meet and Hamfest and tailgate a couple weeks ago, and I wasn't planning on buying anything, but the gentleman, I'll just keep his name under the wraps. He was next to me. He had some interesting stuff. If you watch the video, he had a G500, and the G500 I think is the best looking transoceanic out of all of them. Now there's some shortcomings to that radio in the respect that it doesn't have like the good band spread coverages, so you lose out on getting, say, listening to hams on 80 meters or 40 meters or a couple of the other bands. But they're all, it's a spread band shortwave radio with AM, but it's very, very cool looking. And he had on his table and it sat there and it sat there and sat there. At the end of the day, I thought to myself, nobody buys the thing, I'll bring it home. And I ended up buying it and bringing it home. Now, I don't know, some of you probably seen the video already. I did 2 videos on this thing. The second video was something that one of my friends from the club actually sent me an email and said, hey, I ran off of batteries and I plugged it in and it magically worked. I never get them like that. There's always they're either dead or they smoke or they do, something's like crash and burn with the radio, but it actually played quite well. So one of the comments from the first video was, well, I'd be curious to see how that thing is, who did the work and is it right? And, the right stuff in there. And I got to thinking, that he's right. I should take it apart. And I did. So I went through it. I'm taking voltage rings and it wasn't quite the way I would lay it out. I'm kind of finicky, but electrically it was wired up perfectly and the voltages were right there. And what I wanted to show you tonight was, I'm getting long-winded. I actually
Okay.
took the case and everything all apart, refreshed everything. I cleaned and polished the stag. I cleaned and polished the plastic pieces, tried to make the thing look as good as it could possibly look at. And it was a fail because when I was getting ready to put it together and show it to you tonight, I was going to show it to you,
Mhm.
but it's a 75-year-old radio and you've got issues with wood that's old, you've got plastic shrinkage, you've
Yeah.
got other things. So nothing was fitting together. So what I need to do now, its radio's done. I mean, I just have to put it together, but I have to shim the chassis to get it up a little bit so everything lines up perfectly. And I just didn't have enough time to do that, or I would have shown it to you tonight. So that's what's on my bench right now.
I see.
The GLF radio that we talked about.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I spent 3 more days on that. Um, got the I got the radio to I got the amp to work first, and I was playing my iPod through it. It sounded really nice. Then I got the FM to work, and that's working fairly good. It's not perfect, but it's working pretty good. I put a new iTube in it, and some iTubes are funny because this thing barely shutters. So I hope that the guy don't wig on that, but that's just how they are sometimes. I can show you here. I've got right here is my, I gotta hold this up. You can see it better. That's my 12 tube shutter dial from 1938.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And that's got an iTube in it and it barely opens and closes. So it's not, and I went in there and in case you're wondering, yeah, I did go in there and change the resistor as well. And, that's just those ways some iTubes are. Some iTubes work very well and some don't. I mean, I've got military 6U5s. It barely shutters. You would think that a mil-spec 6U5 would be really good. No. 6E5s typically seem to work better than 6U5s, but that's just, but I'm babbling.
Oh, that's all right.
Anyway, that's where I'm at with the GLF, and I'm going to try to get the AM working, and I hope I can figure it out because there's an awful lot of there's a lot of IF cans on that thing. I hope it doesn't have silver mica.
So, hey, Bob,
yes.
I've got a rookie question for you.
Okay.
So, does an iTube affect any other operation of the radio, like sensitivity or whatever? Like if you do have a bad eye tube, does it affect any of the RF performance, or it's just an indicator? And so if you have a bad eye tube, the radio still works fine.
No, that's actually a very good question. My personal experience is that it has no effect on trying to do anything to the let's just say the reception ability of the radio.
Okay.
It's just the manufacturing of the iTubes themselves. Sometimes you get some really good ones, and sometimes most of the time they're not so great. They seem to
Right.
work better on test equipment. And I think that's because you get a better signal to make the thing shutter. With
Mm.
radios, it's kind of like even if you had a good iTube on a radio, the distance station it either doesn't move at all or moves very little. And then if you've got a 50
Yep.
kW station 2 miles down the road, the thing will boom close like that. That's just the nature of these tubes and how they're made. It's just I can't I'm not technical enough to say why. That's just my experience and what I've seen in the past with these things. So I am going to Kutztown Saturday. We have a meeting. The New Jersey Club has a meeting on Saturday, but I have to get up early on or Friday night. But I have to get up early on Saturday. I'm going out to Kutztown, and we're going to have the tailgate, and that's always entertaining as heck for me because we used to have a fella. Well, he's still a member, but I haven't seen him in a while. He had this profound statement, and you put a bunch of cheap radio guys with another bunch of cheap radio guys trying to sell cheap radio stuff to other cheap radio people, and what do you get? It's just a mishmash of, well, just guys hanging around just talking, and nobody's buying or selling anything. Well, that's the tailgate, the DVHRC tailgate that's going to be on Saturday. So I plan on bringing my camera and trying to get get a good video on that. And last but not least, some of you guys already know this, but for those of you who don't, my '67 Buick Sport Wagon is sold. The new owner, I know on a personal level that he didn't argue with my number that I asked for. He bought it and drove it to Connecticut first in a rainstorm, visited his daughter, and then drove it back home to his home in Virginia. So that's where my
All right.
station wagon ended up. But I really enjoyed listening to Per and his looking at his cars and the Hudson trip, and that was kind of cool. I like stories like that. That was pretty neat. So other than that, it's just kind of situation normal here. We haven't really found any houses recently in PA, but maybe when we go to talk to these folks on Saturday, maybe they'll clue us in on something anyway. So we'll see what happens. So, and thank you for watching my videos, by the way. I might get 3 Google payments this year instead of 2, so I'm doing really well.
All right. All right. But hey, good luck at the house hunting, Bob.
Yeah,
Hopefully you'll find something you'll want.
It's worse than it was when I bought this house 30 years ago. It's just
Yeah, different time.
unbelievable what's going on with. I think that I try to follow market trends and things like that in the stock market and this kind of stuff like cars and homes and things like that. It isn't going to hold up. It's just the market's too strong, and I think I've heard some people say it's going to be 2 years, some people say 10 years, but eventually this peak that we're at now where everybody's house is worth a small fortune, it's going to start coming down. And it's just a matter of time there's a bunch of factors involved in that. And I believe that. I think that, sometime between 2 or 10 years from now, if we're all still here, you'll start seeing the values drop, and hopefully it makes I feel bad for the younger people that are looking for their own place, and they both, a husband and wife have jobs and may or may not have children, and it's tough on them people now. I know how tough it was on my wife and I when we went looking, and all you guys that are homeowners, you know what I'm talking about. So,
Yeah.
put yourself in the shoes of the people who are trying to do it now. It's really tough to crack. Unless you want your kids to live with you forever.
At least
I
they
don't
don't
have
have
any kids, so
they
I
don't
got
have to,
lucky. I just have cats.
at least they don't have to worry about 17% interest rates like we did.
Yeah.
Oh God, yes. When that happened, I bought my first brand new car in 1979. I didn't need it. It's a long story why I did it. just long story short, I was trying to establish a credit rating for myself so I could get a credit card. And if I ever had to buy something on credit, or if I was planning to buy a house later on in life or whatever, I just had to do that. But yeah, I remember I bought my car through the credit union I was working with, and the interest was, I think it was like maybe 1.5%. And I didn't even need the car. I just bought it just so I could get the credit rating. And then I flipped the car after I think I paid it off early, and then I just got rid of it because I hated the car. It's a 79 Nova 6-cylinder. It was the last American Nova that the local Chevy dealer had here, where it's right, the dealer's not even there anymore. But it was just so smogged up. It just, car could barely hold an idle. It was just
Yeah.
terrible.
Yeah.
It ate a carburetor on me. I had to put a carburetor at I think it was like 18,000 miles. It was just a horrible car, but it just had too much smog equipment on it, an economy motor. I should have gotten a 305 or something,
Right.
350.
Right. Yeah.
I didn't care. I wasn't going to keep
Right.
the car for a long time anyway. But yeah, so just, it's just kind of a wait and see issue with us. We definitely want to get out of here. I'm not going to, tell you all the crazy stuff that goes on around here and make your head spin. But well, there was one thing. There was a viral video in the town that I live in. The town I live in is called Denellen, and it's just 1 square mile. I've had personal meetings with the mayor, and I'm not at all impressed with him. But all that being set aside, the viral video was, there was a cop that was standing behind a tree on the main street, and he was standing there with a camera. And as people were driving by, he'd snap the camera, and I think they nailed 48 people for driving with like this. They get the steering wheel in one hand, the phone here, and they just had at it. And I don't know how much money they made on it, but the video went viral and it's hilarious. I have people that, that live close to me here. And they go, yeah, that was pretty funny. You live there. To people that in California, I have a friend in Ohio. Oh, I'm getting these emails, and it's crazy. So we'll
Ah.
see what happens. All right. Let's move on. I'm babbling, but thank you for watching my channel. I appreciate each and every one of you guys watching me.
Hey, no
I get
problem.
a
And
small
thank you, Bob.
stipend from Google.
Yeah, it's
Hey,
always fun to hear what you have to say
Oh,
from a faraway
I
place.
love listening to you about your cars today. That was great.
yeah, good stories to be had.
Oh, and good luck on the gas tank. I hope that goes well for you. I did the gas tank on my
Thank you.
wagon.
Yeah, well, I was fortunate that it's only been the last couple of years when the people in the Hudson Club got together and decided to remanufacture really proper gas tank for the car. So that's what I'm in the process of putting in. I've gotten the old tank out. I've got the sender unit transferred to the new gas tank, and all I need now is somebody to help me put it back up in the car.
I
So
did a video when I had my car, and my wife actually helped me. This was like 4 or 5 years ago, and I had my car jacked up in the garage, and I dropped my tank, and I only did that because I was leaking gas. No matter where I was driving, I was like literally a fire hazard. I said, "No, we got to fix this thing," and I dropped the whole tank, relined, new hoses, new thing. I put a new sending unit in there. I never dropped the tank out of a car. With all the crazy stuff I've done with cars over the years, I never dropped a gas tank until I had my wagon. But that went really well. So I know
that
that's
was
like,
good.
it's kind of a lot of work.
There's an interesting technique for dealing with gas tanks that I had to use on my airplane, and it's called sloshing. And you pull the tank out of the plane and you slosh the sealant in all around inside it. And then you put it back in and it never leaks again. It's really neat. And so save you thousands of dollars.
My dad did that to his Cessna when I was a kid. I was
Oh,
probably about
no.
8 or 9 years old. I said, "Daddy, what are you doing with that thing?" He says, "I got to fix it." I said, "How you gonna fix it?" "Well, I'm gonna pour this thing in there and shake it up, and then then he filled it up with water first and make sure there was nothing leaking. It was fine, and then he put it back into the plane. But he would take his plane to our house. He had a flatbed truck that actually belonged to Civil Air Patrol, which my both my parents were involved in. And he would literally take the wings off the plane and the plane, put it on the truck, bring it to the house, and then refabric the plane like about every 8, 10 years. He would just rip that thing down to the frame and then refabric everything. And I stayed
Hmm.
away from that because that was just a mess.
Well, I bought my plane used, and the guy who sold it had sneaked some paint over the places where, aviation fuel stain leaves a blue color when it
Yeah.
leaks. And he painted over this thing. So I didn't know
Ooh,
the tanks were leaking until,
ooh,
it's typical used car, used plane, same idea. They're out to get you.
ugh.
I just never took an interest in flying because when I used to go up with my dad, I only went up with him maybe a half dozen times. But when my father drove his car, he was very conservative. He was always driving like 5 miles an hour under the speed limit, and he just that's how he was. You get him in that plane, he was like a little kid. He's out there, he's trying to do,
Mm.
he's doing barrel rolls and all kinds of.
Oh no, really?
Oh
What
yeah, he was a maniac.
what kind
My
of plane?
I think it was a Cessna. It was just
Yeah,
it was just a single wing and had a
yeah,
real small tire all the way in the back.
yeah.
Just yeah,
You
the
do not
whole
want
tire
to
was
do
only about
barrel
that big.
rolls in a Cessna.
A tail dragger, they called
Yeah,
them.
it was a
Yeah,
tail dragger.
Tiger.
And I remember like sometimes if he left it kept it at the airport over the winter time, we used to have to cover it up and make sure we wouldn't get any snow or anything anywhere. And then what always would happen is the first time we take the cover off the motor, we come back a week or two later and the birds are already making a nest in the motor. And I had to pull the bird nest out of the thing. And then, my father actually checked everything out, make sure everything was okay and everything. My father bought his first airplane at 16 years old. Actually, it was the only airplane he ever bought. That was the same plane. He bought it at 16 years old, and he didn't even have a driver's license yet. So that's how
Wow.
much my dad liked to fly. He was really, really, really into it.
Hmm.
So he would look at me, and I don't know. I don't think I was a disappointment to him in some respects, but I think I definitely know that I was in the cars, and then I'm loading up the yard full of old car carcasses, and I'm taking motors apart and fixing this. I'm like Pear. I'm doing all this stuff to cars. And my father's like shaking his head. Like my dad was also really cheap. Like if I did an oil change in my car, he would yell at me. And what I would do is drain the pan, and then I would take the oil filter out. My father's like, he's smoking his cigarette. He's, oh, his hands are like, what's the matter? He says, oh, you're wasting money. And I said, well, what do you do? He says, he sees as soon as I take the plug out of pan, the oil pan, he just started freaking out. So what his oil change was, you change the filter and add a quart.
Ah,
That was my dad's oil change.
that's
And he was a
funny.
diesel truck mechanic for many years.
Well, my
Oh,
my my approach to filters is some of my early cars were not equipped with oil filters at all. So um, on my daughter's um, Honda Odyssey that we drove up until a little more than 253,000 miles, I changed the oil every 50,000 miles, the oil filter. I change the oil regularly, but the filter only every 50,000 miles.
my father was just cheap. My father didn't have anything growing up as a kid so
Mhm.
that just kind of carried into adulthood. And I remember him and my mom having arguments over, me and my sister, like we wanted to do something or whatever, and it would just go back and forth. And most of the time my father got his way, but not all the time. That's just how I guess he was a child of growing up in the Depression too. I think
Hmm.
that did a lot,
Uh-huh.
to him as far as the value of money and things like that.
Where do you keep the plane? Where'd you keep it? What airport?
When he first bought it, there used to be an airport in North Brunswick that was actually down the street from the Delco battery plant.
Yeah.
And I used to work on the other side of that. That was Jersey Avenue. And I used to, my first job when I was working full time and I was still going to college, I worked for Mattel Toy Company, and it was injection molding, and they were making plastic pieces
Hmm.
for kids' toys. And that's how I ended up being in plastics for 31 years too, because I didn't,
Hmm.
I stayed in school, got my degree, and my guidance counselor sits me down. She says, "Hey, I found three jobs for you, and they were all entry level technician jobs in electronics. This is like 1978, so they were around like 425 an hour." And I said, "No, I really appreciate your efforts, but I have to say no." And she's like, "But you have an opportunity." I said, "Right now I'm making like 985 an hour. Why would I do, you know?" Because the place when I worked at Mattel, my supervisor initially, he was a Spanish gentleman. He was wonderful. His name was Modesto, and we used to sit and talk for hours. He loved me because there wasn't any. I would never say no to him. I said, "Well, what do you need to do?" And I would just do it. And I already had a mechanical ability for playing with cars. So here I am. I'm watching these guys work on these machines. I'm like, that ain't nothing. I could do this. So I worked my way up through the ranks over there. I worked there for about 3 years, and then they let me go because they were cutting down and getting ready to move the whole operation to Mexico. So that's when early 80s, I guess that was 1981, and the exodus to start moving things out of manufacturing out of the US was just starting to get some teeth, and I was on
Mhm.
the hook for that. But I was fine. I mean, I made a career out of being in the plastics industry for crazy amount of time, I guess, up until my last job. And my last job was the only thing I used my degree on, and I was working for a biotech company servicing uh, when COVID broke out and everybody was looking for a respirator. I worked for a biotech company that had a patent on a drug that basically was Viagra that you could inhale. Okay. But it
Mhm.
wasn't for what you're thinking. It was literally had the properties of Viagra, but it stimulated blood flow. So it from a markability standpoint, it was steered toward the premature baby market. Like when we were kids, if you were born premature, you go in an incubator. Well, this was an alternative. You didn't have to go into an incubator because kids might freak out or whatever. You can put them on a respirator with a percentage of this drug to oxygen through
Mm.
a ventilator. And my purpose in life
Wow.
with this company was me and a couple other guys. We'd work on these ventilators, and we get them back from the hospital. We write a report on them. We do whatever work had to be done, whether it was a maintenance issue or just whatever. And then we'd have to make a report. I literally had three huge computers on my desk. It was unbelievable. I had one for the internals within the company, one for the respirators, and then the other one was for something else. I forgot what that was, but it was nuts. But I made great money on it for 10 years, so that was all right. But I
Oh,
never
good.
was afraid of it. I was never really afraid of anything mechanical. I was never afraid to try something. And if it was something I tried that I didn't enjoy, well, then I knew I had somewhere else I could go and do something else that I would enjoy. So I've been blessed in that respect. I've been lucky enough to do something. I mean, I've had some jobs that were terrible, but they were all temporary until I could, find a bridge and get into the next job. And I think we all go through that, but I've been lucky. I've been to get through my life the way I am. So I have all these abilities. But it kills me to see kids today, and I'm sure you guys see it too. You know, 4-year-old kids, and in the lieu of sure the parents don't hope the kid becomes whiny. You throw them a pad with a cartoon playing on it, and that's a really weird age for children because they have to start feeling things out and learning. And if you just give them an iPad and watch cartoons, they're going to just grow up to be mush.
That's right.
And that's
Yeah.
why I think that there's this big thing about, everybody wants to work in the computer industry, but we don't have people that could, fix your house or fix your car or, just do the stuff that we've done for years, as either homeowners or owning a car or whatever, even something simple as fixing a leak on your faucet. most of these people can't do it. More than half the people in my neighborhood don't even mow their lawn.
Mm.
So we have the landscapers coming here, and they come in here with big trucks and everything, block everybody up. And next thing you know, it's like 8 o'clock in the morning. You're sitting here having coffee, and just talking to your mate, and all of a sudden you just hear these machines fire up, and it's just stuff all over the place.
Yeah.
So
A lot
this is
of
cool.
noise.
Yeah.
It's different from when we were growing up.
Yeah.
All
Hey,
right, I
wait,
got
wait.
bored you now. Next.
Yeah, no, yeah. I just want to, yeah, not a problem. No, no, it's all good stuff. Greg, how's it going?
Yes,
How's it
good.
going? What's going on with you? I know you were at Archie.
Yeah, that was kind of a washout this year again. The two meets were rain the whole time. The one in first Madison one in May, and now Archie Radio Fest. But thankfully, they moved whatever they could indoors, so they're still able to have a swap meet, just not to the normal size that they usually did.
Great. And you must have some restorations you might have been undergoing here that I could show.
And keeping busy, and I think I sent you the pictures just to make it.
Yeah. So why don't I share those and you can sort of tell us what you've been up to. Let me just turn on the share. That would help for me. All right. Let's see what we got here. So hopefully you can see this.
Yeah, this is a an early Motorola tombstone.
Yeah,
Wow.
that you don't see Motorola's of that vintage very often.
No, this goes like 1934.
Was that
That's
still Galvin?
I believe so.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever seen one that early, Greg.
Yeah, I
No, I
know.
never
Ditto
did either.
here. And look at that. All the knobs look all
Oh,
original. I like the knobs. So it's sort of like octagons, I think.
Yeah, they are.
very
Octog
deco. I like the look.
Yeah. Let's see here. So what year did you think that this is?
1934.
34. Okay, that's be the early days, very, very earliest days of Motorola. Now there's the escutcheon and the dial. Wow, pretty cool. Okay, an airline.
This is an airline, yeah.
I love this dial face. It's one of the busiest dial faces I've ever seen on
It's
American
very
radio.
busy. A lot of pointers.
Yeah, well, I think there's a better picture of the dial face. We can hit
Yeah.
that a little bit, but wow. And it has all these little indicators, I think. Are these all separately lit?
Well, yeah, they change when you change bands. The
Wow.
light moves over from one dot to the next.
That is cool. That's in pretty good shape for a before photo, all things considered.
Yeah, it was pretty scuffed up there
Oh, is that
around the
right? Maybe the
outside.
picture. I see. I know that obviously the grill cloth looks a little haggard.
But I like the fact it had the original wood knobs, which
Yeah.
were a little difficult to find, especially that middle one with the broad and sharp control.
Oh, yeah. I
Oh,
see.
wow.
That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool.
I think if memory serves, it was a 6 or 7 tuber.
Oh, okay.
And this is a Firestone Air Chief.
That's attractive. I love this. The dial face is beautiful.
Yeah,
Actually,
it's
that's
like what Zenith did on there. Is it's black and white, but when it's lit, it's multicolored.
yeah, we'll see that shortly. This is actually also not in too bad a shape. I mean, it's free.
Well, I think this must have been a kitchen radio because I've never seen a chassis. It was just caked with this dark grease-like material all everything.
Sucking in
Even the
all the.
outside, the cabinet, you can see that the wood is very dark too. It
I
was,
see. So you're saying this should be a lighter.
yeah, oh,
Thing.
definitely. All that cooking grease must have
Oh man.
soaked
I
into it.
don't. I think what they used back then was lard.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah, they probably did. Yeah,
Probably covered in lard, and that's why it was so well preserved.
yeah.
Well, whoops. That's yeah, right. encased in lard. So now we have to do the let me do uh
Reveal.
the reveal, the big reveal.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
now look at that. Now look at that. That is sharp. I like the
Yeah,
Wow.
choice of
I
grill
like
cloths.
the Art Deco look of the wood on that. You know, the grain of the wood.
Mm,
Have a chevron pattern.
yeah, exactly. I was
Yep.
thinking the exact same thing. And you good choice in the grill cloth.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's actually from your uh, neighbor there, Michael Katz, I
Cats.
think his name is.
Yeah, exactly. The man of the cloth.
Man of the cloth. Yeah.
He's got his own table in Kutztown.
I like this. I like this a lot. You did a really bang up job.
Thank
Whoops.
you. There's a rear view of it right on the.
Yeah, let me somehow you have to be just a little sensitive, these Macs.
Mhm.
There we go.
Got one of
Oh,
those
five
early
tuber.
transformers with no clamshell on it, just the frame and the paper winding in the middle.
Mm.
Wow, that's nice.
But yeah, just a
Pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
5 tube. But it had a very large speaker, which is unusual for a 5 tube radio.
Oh,
I think it was about a seven incher.
yeah, that's
Mm.
pretty sizable.
What's the output to? Is that a 6F6 or 6F6 for the output?
I believe so. Yeah.
Okay.
I see Raytheon
Oh
over
no,
here.
there's a 41. I can see
Oh,
it on the tube. It's a
yeah, it
41.
is. You're right. You're right. Yeah.
Yeah, I'll still throw out some audio with that speaker.
Yeah, it was a
Yeah.
good sound in your radio.
Now, is this on your radio attic for sale, or is this a keeper?
It's been sold already.
Ah, congratulations. Not a surprise.
No, if I would have had room, I probably would have kept it, but you gotta be selective
Yeah.
with limited space. There's the airline.
Yeah. Oh, look at that dial face.
Oh,
Look at all these
Um,
radio stations. I love it. It's just still WOR. That's sort of that
WABC.
look at this. I love this. And then for all this, then you have the west of the Mississippi K stations. I love it.
And it was supposed to work that where your station was down below, lined up with the station call letters up on top with the airplane dial.
Right.
ah.
That is pretty
But
slick.
I mean, you got these two little pinwheels for bass and treble, and they
Yep.
move when you turn the knob. And you got another one for off on volume. That one turns to loud when you turn the volume up. And then
Wow. That's
it's
pretty cool. You
got a
know,
split second hand, and it's got
Wow.
just a little bit of I'm sure it has a little bit of, a little bit of complexity and just
a lot of strings.
yeah, exactly.
Luckily, they all were intact.
Yay.
Yeah.
I love it. It's funny. Usually it's the European, like the German dials that are just almost indecipherable because they have so much on the dial face. But this one takes the American manufacturer cake. This one's a,
Yeah, that's true.
You're being a catalog radio for Montgomery Ward.
I know, I love it. I actually this would be fun. Is this also on Radio Ag and is already sold or
This has been sold to a longtime customer in Alabama. He just got it today.
lucky
Sent me a
guy?
video
But
of it on.
there's the complete job. Very nice. Very, very nice.
And see now there, if you zoom in, you can see the wood knobs. They have a like a little copper band insert,
Oh yeah.
and they've got
Wow.
engraved down there what they do. Selector.
Wow, beautifully done. Gosh. That guy got that's a lucky guy who has it.
Yeah, that was a extremely heavy radio. It was 26 pounds just as it
Wow.
sits.
Wow. Really?
Yeah.
So what's the biggest contributor? Is it really thick wood or is it a crazy crazy
Really
image?
thick wood mostly. I think it was just the cabinet was half the weight alone.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's there for a lifetime.
Yeah.
You know.
So do you crate these in wood when you ship them, or how do you ship them?
Well, I double box them, Tom. It actually starts out with 3 or 4 layers of big bubble wrap around the thing, a mummified bubble wrap that goes in a
Yeah.
snug box, and then another oversized box for that box. And I use uh, peanuts on the bottom and air pillows around the sides and top.
Yeah, so
Got
this
it.
thing is, yeah, this is packed, yeah, and packed well. Wow, that's great.
Mm.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful.
36.
Yeah, I really like that. The first one I've seen of this airline style, very nice.
Mhm.
To see
That's the backside. You can see the chassis is pretty beefy there too.
yeah.
And where do
And
you
then
sell where do you sell these, Greg? Do you put them on a Facebook group or something like that?
no, I've got a web page on radioaddict.com.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Neat.
Now, surprisingly, this has uh, a broad and sharp control. It was that odd shaped wood knob in front, and when you
Mm,
turn it to sharp, I mean, it really kicks in the volume and the tone. It almost sounds like a console, even with that little 6-inch speaker.
really?
Yeah,
Wow, that must have been a hard one to let go.
yeah, it was. It was. I'm a sucker for nice dials, and that one,
Oh yeah, that one really, that's eye candy. I
That was
was
eye
like,
candy for sure.
because
yeah,
I just love the lights, but I love the all the radio stations on there. That's just terrific.
yeah.
That's terrific. Oh, there's a Firestone dial face now.
There we go.
How pretty is that?
Yeah.
Wow.
That looks sharp. That's very sharp.
It's just unfortunate they had the tuner was so close to it, it couldn't light up the center of it. There was
Oh,
just the
okay.
2 bulbs along each side. And I think they figured that was good enough.
Still does a pretty compelling job.
Yeah,
And of course, look at that. That's very
black
nice.
and white to color.
Yeah, that's gorgeous. Wow, you did a terrific job.
Mm.
I see you changed out the grill cloth. Very nice. Looks very, very nice with this. Yeah, this is great. Wow.
Well, actually, that's the original grill cloth. And what I
Oh, is
did is,
it? Oh,
yeah,
okay.
around the edges, I could see it was a real bright gold. So I just gave it a light spray with some gold paint and brought it back.
Wow. Wow, boy, you fooled me. Nice job. Nice job. Looks great.
Thank you.
And I assume this also has a new owner.
Yeah, I've got to pack that up and ship it on Monday. You wanted to wait until next week to ship it.
All right. Well, they
Another
don't
pack.
last long,
No,
especially these really, I call them sort of premium radios that just have a lot of, eye, it's sort of has great
that
curb appeal,
was
for lack of
actually a,
better.
that was actually an Arky Radio Fest purchase.
Oh, was it?
Yeah,
Ah, very good. So at least you made the trip worthwhile.
yeah, that one and the airline both came from Radio Fest.
Oh, okay. Yeah, speaking of which, maybe we'll make the next meeting, maybe we'll go through some of the photos of Arky. That might be fun to do.
Yeah, I don't think we ever featured an indoor set of pictures from there.
I don't think so. I guess, we haven't shown anything from Arky in a while anyway. I guess that was the last photo. Yeah, that was it.
That's it.
Well, thank you, Greg. That is terrific. Terrific, terrific job.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see here. Noah,
Noah, okay.
what's going on with you?
Well, a number of things. Bob was talking before about us being a bunch of cheapskates. So I'll start out with my super duper cheapskate thing, because with the weather getting to be the way it was, if I turn this around, in my man cave, I've got that 55-inch flat screen TV that I got out of the trash and fixed. And I can watch TV or whatever on there. I've also got a big screen up above if I want to do like a big movie kind of thing. I can pull the
Sure.
screen down. But it's been so hot that I can do my morning walks outside, but my afternoon and evening walks, I had to bring home this treadmill out of the trash
Yeah.
so that I could be in the air conditioned man cave in the hot afternoons. But because of the proximity of the treadmill to the screen of the TV, I'd have to over the AC and the little pedestal fan if I'm using that, and the sound of the treadmill, I'd have to crank the volume on the speakers,
Right.
to pretty loudly. So I went to the local Goodwill store, and over in the electronics section, they had these
Yeah,
super
computer
fancy
speakers.
Harman Kardon computer stereo
Yeah.
powered speakers with bass and treble control and built-in amplifier and little tiny bass reflex ports. And it's actually pretty decent sound for like just setting up here on top of the treadmill. And
Yeah.
and so since I am a cheap bastard, and I also had it, as we all remember, the days of before there was Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, we had telephones that were hardwired, where we had
Yeah.
these little cables with the red and yellow and green and black, and so it was 4 conductors, and it's like, well, that's stereo. So I made myself a long extension cord from the earphone jack of the TV set,
Sure.
ran it under the trains so that I could plug it into the Harman Kardon. And so I've got the TV sound that's like right there, almost like wearing a pair of headphones, and the sound is
Sure.
actually pretty decent there. So it was $4.99 for the speakers, and the television set and the treadmill came out of the trash. And it was about $8 to fix the TV set, and it wasn't really anything to fix the treadmill. It was just kind of cleaning and lubricating to get that working. So
Score.
that was my cheapo thing. So that was just for Bob. But the thing that I wanted to show was, this is what got me started down the long and terrible road towards way too many German radios. Just down the road from Brookline, there
Grundig.
used to be, we called it Amherst at the time, and there was a car show, or a swap meet that would happen the last Sunday of the month, April through October. And this monstrous German Grundig radio called a Model 3045
Yep.
was on the ground with a little sticker stuck to it that said $5. Now I haven't done a lot of cosmetics to it because it was just all destroyed internally, wires just hanging out of the back and everything. But it was a pretty fancy model.
Yeah, that is. It's a pretty good model for the era.
It's got like 4 different bands, including the broadcast band and FM band, and a couple of shortwave bands, shortwave 1, shortwave 2. It's got the fancy tuning where if you turn on the FM, the tuning dial only moves the FM indicator.
Right.
And then you can leave that there. And when you hit broadcast or shortwave, then the other tuning indicator works as clutches that go back and forth.
Exactly.
And thankfully, those weren't too hard to get working again. And then it's got this silly little dial that you'll see what that does once I get around to the back of it.
Yeah, this should be for the ferrite antenna, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that, as we were talking about before, I haven't shined up. I think this is going to polish up pretty nicely, these like brass inserts.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
All this here.
Simicom
So I haven't shined up all this yet. I think there's just a lot of years of grime on here.
Yeah.
But the first thing to do was to try to see whether I could even make it work again or not, because I had never seen, I'd heard of Grundigs and Telefunkens, and I'd heard that they were really good sounding radios, but I'd never owned one and I'd never worked on one. And German radios are a whole different beast compared to old American radios, especially, this is not an all American 5 by a long shot. It's also got the iTube.
Yep.
that's up there, and the grill cloth was in actually pretty decent shape.
Yeah.
You can probably see better maybe on the phone. You can see the oval speaker that's kind
Yeah,
of
it's a
in on
big
an
speaker.
angle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
This
it's a big
is
speaker.
this is like the BAS model. I call it the big ass speaker
Yeah, it is. I mean, look at that thing.
version of it.
It's got beast.
The speaker is monstrous that's in there.
Yeah.
It's like the biggest oval speaker I've ever seen in any radio, including even console Grundigs.
Yeah, it's a big.
And then it's
a
got
beast.
it doesn't have the electrostatics, but it has the cone speakers on either side with a really, really bizarre, crazy the way the Germans do their sound with an audio output transformer with these extra little like crossover coils and things. And it's just amazing what they do. This thing sounds like a console stereo when you play it. It's just amazing the sound that comes out of it.
Yeah.
I do have the back. The back is just off, but
Right.
it was such a royal pain in the ass.
No, I don't
because
doubt it.
both dial cords were broken.
Oh,
And what's so weird is if you look, okay, so obviously if you look at the front of the unit, the knobs are oriented this way.
Right.
But then if you look around back, right over here is this is for the FM, and it's orthogonal. It's 90 degrees.
yeah.
Rotated. So, and then the AM is over there in the front, and it's facing forward, but it's like, way up against, and the wires go, the cords go under the chassis, and half of it is dial cord string, and the other half of it is like piano wire, very thin piano wire with like weird little mechanical springs, like you can see under that speaker there maybe. And so the springs were missing. The dial cord was rotted. The steel wire was like down in the bottom of the chassis. So it was a hellish nightmare, but I got both of them working. And yeah, this is up here in the top. This is the ferrite antenna.
Yeah. Yeah.
We're going around in there.
Yep. Yep.
So that's you get to wiggle that guy around, and it's just like a dipole in the top of the wooden box for the FM antenna. And I don't know what this is meant to do. I haven't figured this out yet, but there's this weird little needle thing that just spins around and hits different contacts. That I guess you can use different. Look at this. Now, Bob, what do I do about this? Look at this. What are you doing? What are you doing up there?
Well, I believe the cat was about to instruct you what that.
Right on top of the radio that I'm trying to talk to you people about. So anyhow.
His master's kitty.
Right.
Yeah. His master's voice. Meow. Luckily, she's like, get down from there. What are you going to do? You're going to kill yourself up there. You stupid kitty. So anyhow, this was a nightmare, but I conquered it as far as the dial cords go so that it could tune in. The reception is not as good down here in Texas as it was when I first got it functioning up in Massachusetts, but I'm thinking it's because I now live in sort of a bit of a Faraday cage, because this building that I'm in right now has a metal roof, and it has brick and plaster and mortar outside walls, and no radio works all that well in here, but it still works pretty well. Just, it works better like if it's outside, or, so that I get it out of this area. But, that just for perspective, I put this kind of normal sized table radio, on top of it.
That's
just to show
basic. Yeah.
I mean, this thing, here's my hand, it's like this thing is
right,
well over a foot tall and over 2 feet wide, and
yes,
less than a foot deep, maybe 8, 9, 10 inches deep, and it
Does
weighs.
your voice go up an octave when you pick it up?
Oh,
yeah, pretty much.
That's got to be pushing 35, 40 pounds.
It's that heavy.
Definitely is. It's just, and then it's got the, the tone controls that give you it's hard to see here in the
Yeah.
dark, but
Yeah, no, it's actually one
the
of the
little red
Yeah.
flag goes and uncovers or
Right.
covers over the notes as to
Yeah.
for your bass and your treble.
I like that
And it,
approach. Most were the thumb wheel on the top. This one's right up front, which I kind of like. That was the only
yeah.
that
Oh,
handful of-
and they're big too. They're like
Yeah.
3 inches in diameter.
Yeah. Mm.
So, real good feel to the knobs. They almost have like
Yeah.
counterweights on
Yeah,
them or
those
something.
the
Yeah,
flywheel
the
just
big flywheels. And
wonderful.
luckily,
Yeah, it's wonderful.
all the piano keys were pretty functional. And boy, it was just full of dirt and grime and grunge. And again, it's still kind of dusty in places. I've tried my best to, and it was impossible to take the thing apart. I had to disconnect many wires and label them
Yeah.
to, between the crossovers and the speakers and wires up to the ferrite antenna. I actually had to pull that mechanism out of there and just to
Nightmarish.
be able to get to doing the dial strings, because the cords had to, and to be able to clean the glass, so it was like, it was a mess, but it was the first German radio I ever brought home and conquered it. And then after that, the nasty Craigslist button that said free. So
Oh yeah, there you had the dial string. Good.
I found online, I found these, in German, all these things talking about, how you do the FM and how you do the AM, and little German instructions with how long the chords are supposed to be, and 2.5 times around this little hockey puck, and then over through those, and then a spring, and then down underneath. And is 2 different dial pointers, and there were 2 other pieces of steel wire that go across that the dial pointer slid on. It's just what a crazy thing. I took a few pictures to document along the way while I was working on it. So I do have the back.
Right.
The back's not down here right now. I left that up in the other end of the workshop, but there's and I think now maybe John, you know this better than I do, but the model 3045WX3D. Now the 3D, I don't know what it's supposed to stand for, but as far as I'm concerned, it stands for 3-dimensional.
Yeah, it's basically what they.
I mean, you would think it was a stereo console that had speakers that were like at least 5 feet apart. It's just amazing what they do with their audio technology to make these things sound the way they do.
I agree. They were just sort of magical, and
it's totally it's FM, the other kind of FM, as in
right.
effing magic of how they do this stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's not stereo, but boy, he said it's pretty close, as close you can get without it being true channelized stereo. They do a pretty admirable job.
You can almost see in here. I got a lot of my bullshit in the way, but there's this weird little coil here that's like part of a crossover, and there's another little coil up on top, and that's the audio output transformer. That's back here where I'm pointing, and then that's the power transformer with the nasty selenium rectifier, and of course you can put fuses in different places depending upon what the voltage is that you're working on.
Yeah,
there's one of the big flywheel in the back. So so there's the FM, there's the AM, there's the audio and the power supply, and quite an undertaking. But now that I know it works and plays, now maybe it's not going to come out like anything that Greg works on, but I think some judicious cleaning and a little polishing here and there, I think it'll brighten things up a little bit. And it's like it's one of those
looks
like it's kind of like the pear story. This is like the first old clunker German radio that I found on the ground for $5 and brought back to life. So
that's right. Now you can't get rid of it.
Many other ones have come and gone, but the old clunker that was the first one that you cut your teeth on is the one that's still around. So
absolutely, yeah, it's got that sentimental value. Plus,
what year is that from? Late 50s or?
Yeah, something like 57 or 58, because it's mono, but it does have it. I guess it must be in, I don't know.
I'm thinking 55 or 56.
Export model, because
that is an export.
It does say 88 to 108, but it
Yeah.
also has the channel numbers of channel
Yeah.
200 up to channel 300.
Yeah. It's simple. It's a simplified shortwave. Yeah, that's definitely a US model. Absolutely
You
no
know, and
question.
it's got the little civil defense
Yep.
triangles on it.
Yeah.
And it,
Yep.
it doesn't say AM, it says BC for broadcast.
It doesn't have the now maybe they didn't start doing that at that year. It might have been the late 50s, but it usually had the Grundig Majestic, and Majestic was the one that actually imported Grundig, and of course they were US spec. Does it say Majestic anywhere, or does that just simply say
You
Grundig?
know, I'm having a hard time seeing. Wait a second, let me grab this. No, this just says hi-fi sound.
Okay, yep, yep.
3045. I think this is like pre-majestic. I don't
Yeah, I
think
think
they weren't
yeah,
calling it. It might even be 56 or
this
57.
yeah, this feels like about 55, 56 in that range roughly,
Yeah.
this era, which is
Which, would be really good if it was a 55, because then it would be like a year of birth radio for me,
there you
But,
go. Well, I mean, those were, I mean, I would sort of consider when you think about pre-stereo, the mid 50s German were sort of like the zenith in terms of the material quality. I mean, they had all this brass trim, the wood quality was superb. I mean, the thing weighed, these things typically weighed in pushing 40 pounds. They were a beast, but boy, they were built to last. Whereas you could see as the years went ahead, the Germans started having to cheapen them. They were still good quality, but they started cheapening the product a bit. You could see,
yep.
Cutting back with all the fancy trim, and of course there was stylistic changes too. But you could see just a little bit here, a little bit there by the
But
early '60s.
the only schematics that I could find were just they were all in German. So,
Yeah.
and I couldn't really find anything that told me what its year of manufacture was.
I just pulled that up on the phone. It said they were made between 54 and 55.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
That's
Yes.
awesome. I'm going to call it 55. It's a year
Yeah.
of birth radio. No wonder why I couldn't give it up.
Yeah. See, that's what I thought because but yeah.
I did
Grundig
figure out, I
3045.
did go
Yeah.
through the German translation, because it's like the audio output tube is like it's a EL84 that we would
Yeah.
it's a
There
6
there was also a footnote here, just for the record. It was labeled as the 3045W.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
WX.
that was WUSA Majestic. Yes,
Yeah.
that's what it says here on it.
Yeah.
Probably not coming
Okay.
through really good here.
Yeah, so a 6BQ5 audio output,
Mhm.
6AK8 is FM and first audio. So I mean the sound is amazing, and now
Yeah.
I'm really thrilled that I know it's a 1955.
Now you can't get rid of it now. As you see, it was
No, can't
really
get rid of it now.
it was Destiny Young Skywalker. It was destined to be yours.
Now you owe me a ride in the 61 300.
Hey, anytime you come on down, it's like I'm sorry I missed you this summer, but I passed on
No, that's all
Carlisle,
right.
but I think I'll be back. I'll be back. Maybe if all goes well, maybe by the next time I get back up to Carlisle, Pennsylvania, that'll be closer to your house than it is right now, because maybe you'll be there.
Yeah, I'm a little over. I'm probably like 2 hours, 20 minutes from Carlisle,
Yep.
where I live here.
Well, like I said, you're close to Lead East, so I go right by Lead East on my way to
Lead
my
East
sister's
is
house.
probably 13 minutes, 14 minutes away from my house.
Yep.
So if you
So
wanted to stop by, I'm glad to have you over, man.
Yeah, definitely, especially if you can come up with a 7JP4 CRT sometime between now and then.
I get emails from people that view and watch my channel. I get some really weird stuff. Finding a good picture tube period is like God, it's like a trip to the dentist. It's terrible. It's pulling.
Well, I've got the funky little machine, picture tube rejuvenator thing. Unfortunately, for my little Sentinel television set here with the 7JP4 in it, that's an electrostatic deflection CRT, and my little picture tube rejuvenator doesn't work on those.
In New Jersey, there's a big calling for the Dumont picture tubes, and they were special.
Yep.
And they're hard to find.
So that TV works really well, but only in a very dark room because the picture tube is very dim. And there's another version of that 7-inch tube that I guess goes for like oscilloscopes and things like that, where it's green phosphor. So you can find it's got a different, it's 7DP4 instead of JP4 or something. That letter designation tells you what or P4 is, the phosphor, and whatever the designation is on the other one for instrumentation. It's green and white instead of black and white, which is like not really what I want on my television. So.
Well,
you ever watch Bob Anderson's YouTube channel?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't.
B. Anderson TV is the
B. Anderson TV. Okay.
I think he calls it Banderson TV.
Okay.
Right.
But I've never met him, but I've known people that have met him. Have you ever met him, Greg? Or
yeah, he's from Chicago, and I see him at Radio Fest.
Okay. Yeah, no,
he used to put up a lot of videos on his YouTube channel. I enjoyed watching him.
Yeah, he still does. He's actually restoring a 1948 Philco, the first Philco TV, the model 48-1000.
Yep. Yeah, I'm in a couple of different antique television groups, and the Early Television Foundation, and of course VRPS, Vintage Radio and Phono Society, and I've seen you on a number of these weird Zooms and other things that
I watched the early TV one.
Yeah, and they go way back. They go into further back than I go. It's like they have stuff. It's not even 525 line scans. It's like really oddball stuff.
Some of these guys get into scanning disc TVs and really crazy early stuff.
Or the very first color TVs that are, the cabinets are bigger than a refrigerator, but the CRT is like 4 inches or something.
Yeah.
But so anyhow, it's all fun. We're all into this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I like your room though. Your room's pretty cool.
He's got some really good ideas on restoration. He's a smart guy.
Yep. And I try not to bring it up very often when I'm on those other things, because I'm probably more of a, I don't know, the equivalent to a radio group where, like, putting Bluetooth in everything. So,
yeah.
So
I linger in the background there too.
So I'm the guy who's like, I'm putting like video audio inputs onto my antique television sets so that I don't even have to worry about aligning the tuner, because I'm going right into the video stage where I'm recovering the sync signals from the video so that the sweep circuits work, and I always have great contrast, and I don't have to worry about reception or anything like that. So
you don't have to carry 36J6 tubes to fix in your TV tuner.
Right. Exactly.
So I gotcha.
So I do some of that stuff, which is probably not totally kosher, with some of the purists out there. But I just want to watch the TV, and most of the time I've got to use like a VHS tape or a DVD. So I have to keep an old DVD player. Some of the new DVD players that are out now, all they have is an HDMI output.
Right. Yeah.
It's like, no, I want, I'm a good old fashioned red, white, yellow guy. It's like on the RCA jacks. That's what I want.
Sure.
But so anyhow, so that's what I was up to when the temperature got up. I said, you know what, I got to take this my big old early first German radio off the shelf and put it on the bench and start ripping into this thing, because the first time I got into it was just to actually make it work and play music. And then when I started looking at how far apart it would have to come to restring the dial cords, I was like, I could just reach in the back and like just turn that thing by hand, and until I get it on my favorite station, and then I don't have to mess with that. And it's already working again. Why would I want to yank it out of there and maybe screw something up? So I never did, but I finally did over the last couple of weeks, and kind of happy that it actually worked out.
All right.
I think some of the springs that are in there that are making it work are like off of Briggs and Stratton carburetors, like governor springs from carburetors off of lawnmowers. But because you make it work.
Great. Well, thanks, Noah. let's see here. Hey, Dick Lanza, we haven't seen or heard you in a while, and I know you've been lurking in the background. How you
Well,
doing?
okay, well, let's see, what have I been doing? I haven't been doing anything with radios, except for the fact my office at MIT is under renovation, and I can't, which was supposed to take 3 weeks and is now onto its entering its third month. Uh, the building is a 125-year-old bakery building, which got
Uh,
and so that's going to take forever. Did some traveling this summer, and the other thing I did today was just watch the partial eclipse.
oh, okay.
And I finally, after all these years of wanting to get a telescope, got one of these little smart telescopes. I don't know if you folks are following the telescope business, but I remember as a kid, you have these things, there'd be a reflector telescope, would be about 4 feet long and required, of course, setting it up, hauling it out, setting it up, getting the guide thing. Anyway, but what you got now is a whole bunch of things which don't even have, they don't have any provision for you to look at the telescope with your eye. It's all through a CMOS imager.
Hmm.
They're just incredible. You just pull the thing out, plug it in, and I said, well, put a filter on for today and looked at the sun, watched the sunspots for a while. And then at 1:01 p.m., I could start to see the moon chunking across. And I wanted to take at least I took a whole bunch of pictures. I haven't, yeah, they're just on my phone right now. I don't think you can see them, but maybe you can. Well, there's a,
Let's see if I can spot. Let's see here.
yeah,
Yeah, we can
yeah,
sort of see it. We can see a
Yeah, there
partial
we go.
eclipse.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah.
yeah.
Yep.
Anyway, well, I don't know why the thing is. Oh, I know why it's getting. Hmm, good question. Why it's fuzzy? I don't know. But I've got a
Because
whole
you're
bunch of
blurring your
sequence.
background.
Hmm?
It's your
Because you're
background is
blurring
fuzz.
your
Yeah,
background.
yeah. Let's see if I go. I shut off. Let's see. Do you wanna see what's this thing? Remove spotlight. Oh well. I think I'll just
Oh,
leave
here,
it
let me.
as
I
it.
can kill the spotlight for you there, Dick. I was doing it for
Yeah,
the.
yeah. No, as I say, I should have just transferred these things all over to my computer, and then I could have just gone through them. But I took about a picture every couple of minutes, and you can watch the moon. You can watch it starts as of course, a clear sun, and then just watch the moon coming
Hmm.
through. And I wanted to do this because my daughter and son-in-law and my grandson are in Iceland, and they specifically went to Iceland because it's a total eclipse. And providing, of course, they didn't have clouds, but I haven't heard anything from her as to whether they actually saw a totality. But
The weather forecast in Iceland was terrible, so an
it's
awful lot
always
of people went over there. I don't know, maybe they found a hole.
I don't know. I was there once and tried to look for the aurora, and it turns out it was cloudy. It seemed like, whatever it is, it's cloudy. And anyway, so that's what I've been up to. I've been playing around a little bit of AI. That was part of my summer conference this year, and worrying about AI safety.
Hmm.
And what we're worried about mostly is, can you use AI to do nasty things? I mean, can you do radiological dirty bombs? Could you do nuclear weapons? Could you do biological warfare?
Hmm.
And yeah,
Yeah,
Oh.
mess
it's
up the GPS too.
we could do
Yeah.
everything. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I mean, that's part of the problem. So there is a group I'm working with from Google DeepMind, and they're trying to build test problems to see whether to make sure that AI will not answer your question. And the one I'm worried about mostly is biological warfare, because that stuff is all out there. And the nuclear stuff is a little bit is scary, but the one virtue of it is that you have to get the material, and getting the material is not easy. So that's what I've been up to, and busily cranking away as they say on Chat GPT and Claude. And anyway, and watching you guys build all these beautiful radios. I still have an old National NC101X sitting down in a storage space underneath my lab. And I finally got through, made a list of all the caps that have to be replaced. And maybe the last time I used this radio was probably 40 years ago, because I remember buying it for $1.
Yeah.
And the thing works. I mean, this is one which is a real mechanical masterpiece. I don't know if you're familiar with it. It's one which when you it's the ham radio bands only, you're right, and it's a rack and pinion which moves the coils across
Wow.
the capacitors. So it's an amazing.
Wow.
I think it was designed by Millen, who was the guy who eventually sold all the Millen, all those nice little hardware parts. But he designed that radio in 1934. And the one virtue of it is he realized that, those days to make things stable, you just had to make them heavy. And so these things are all heavy, very solidly built. The capacitors are all giants. But anyway, so I mean, that's one of my projects, which I think is going to take me another 5 years to do, but it'll happen, I guess. But that's
Terrific.
all I got to say.
Are you going to the Ham Fest in Marlboro
No,
this weekend?
was it this weekend or is it last weekend?
It's upcoming.
This weekend is Marlboro and Sunday is MIT. I can't get to MIT, but I'll be at Marlboro.
Let me think about that.
Okay. Well, maybe see you.
Yeah, yeah. It's
Wow.
Yes, I think you're right. For some reason, I thought it was last weekend, and I said, "Oh, gee, I missed it." But
No, MIT is this weekend on Sunday.
MIT, yeah, MIT is
Yeah,
this weekend.
yeah,
And
And
Tom,
Sunday.
you're not going to be there.
Marlboro is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And
Ah,
that's the one I'm going to.
yeah, but Sunday it sort of quiets down, I think.
Yeah, it'd be ideal to pop
Go
over
to
to
MIT.
MIT,
There
but
you
Yeah,
go.
go to
I don't
MIT.
have that kind of energy anymore.
See what gigantic gray monster black box type thing is that someone is selling, and you don't know what it is, but it's got a lot of connectors. And anyway, yeah.
Long as it says Enigma on it, I'm game.
Well, I thought we discussed this, I guess, a bit about all these Enigma sort of. I would say they're not replicas really, but they're all based on using a Raspberry Pi as the
Yeah, they're electronic versions.
electronic.
You can have a really good Enigma machine in your cell phone for free. Just get the app.
Yeah, but of course now we're all paranoid because we know the Enigma can be broken.
Ah,
So, well, I got into that for another application, and I finally decided the only way to do things is the so-called one-time pad.
yeah, that's it.
That is it, folks. That's the one in which the sender and receiver both have a pad which gives you the decoding, and you only use it once, and then you change it.
And then you destroy it.
You destroy it. Yeah, yeah. There was an article a couple of years ago in the IEEE Spectrum on their do-it-yourself column, and it was a little one-time pad generator using transistor noise,
Yeah.
and he had thermal paper, and it said to burn it after use. So anyway, that's what I've been up to more or less.
Yeah. All right. Well, thank you, Dick. It was good to see you. Good to have you back. Hey, what I'll do is I'll just grab just a few minutes and show you a few things that I have. In a short background, it's a backdrop. There's a gentleman who found us on our website through our contact form, and what he does is one of his jobs is he does house cleanouts. And I guess through all these series of house cleanouts, he had found, various, old vintage radios of varying types. They hate to see go to the landfill because, his job is also to get rid of some of this stuff. And so he found us and reached out to us through the contact form, probably last year. In fact, I'm quite sure it was last year. And we just have had a hard time getting our schedules aligned to meet up so I could actually, take some of this stuff from him And he really his goal was really just to make sure they just find a good home. But it's not a business that's that lucrative, so I'd like to see if I can make a few dollars for him and just I'm not here to make any money. I'm just if I can sell a few of these items and give it to him, it's not it's something in his pocket. But so I'll just show you. He dropped off a few things that well I probably got about I don't know 10 or 12 items. A few of the items will go right to the free table. They're like, multi-band radios that are missing knobs and other things that, they're unremarkable brands too. They're sort of like this generic. I think there was something called Solid State. It was made in Japan. It's literally called Solid State, even though we know it's Solid State, but there's no other label anywhere. So, but it's like those, like, they'll go to a good home. But there were a few diamonds on the rough from various houses. And I'll just do a quick share of these, just to do a walk through, and a couple of which I might actually just keep. Um, uh, but here is this nice little Panasonic, was it R728 from like 1965. It's one of the earlier before they came, it's a nice mid-size radio, but it has a nice, thumb wheel style tuning and volume here, and even has a dial lamp. Um, it's AC powered, or you can also takes batteries. It's the RF 728. I'd say around 65. Um, and it's just a nice little radio, and it works pretty well. I think I just need to just do a little bit of deoxit in a few spots, like the band switch is on the back between AM and FM. Um, oh, actually, this one is, it also has the original the leatherette case. I think it's missing a piece, but it's nicely done, and it's original factory carrying case. I thought, well, that's probably worth keeping. This I got came with the load. This is one of those retro 90s from the mid 90s or so car dashboard style radio. Unfortunately, the dial lamp doesn't work, but it works fine. It needs to be cleaned up, and there's like splatter from someone spray painting or something. It's a typical splatter which has to be cleaned up. I'll see if if alcohol or something will take that off. I don't know whether I'm hoping it's latex, but I won't know until I take a look a little more carefully. But it's kind of fun. And the cassette that works. I verified because the cassette that works flawlessly. So, that was kind of fun. The antenna though,
Do the turn signals work?
yeah, I wish I only had but it's kind of cool. It's fun. It's that one I may keep and play around with. Um but here's a few of the transistor radios that came across. This is a nice little Panasonic from mid to late 60s. In really nice shape. Um it's an R1020, 1070, pardon me, made in Taiwan, but it works great. It's a nice shape. It works absolutely fine. Um, oops. Uh, and then next is this GE. This one is a 1704A, and this is, I think, again, mid 60s. Um, Let me go
I think
back.
that's the one that's got the weird speaker in it
It might well be.
because it's got like the rod in the center of the speaker,
Yeah,
and most
I should have taken the photo of the inside. I was a little bit hasty because I wanted to get some shots in before this meeting. Um, uh, and I never got around to, but yeah, that's the front. As I recall, it works. Um, but I have to go through this more thoroughly. Obviously, it needs to be cleaned up and so forth. But you know, and this one's fun. This one's another. It's the 1730B, which is around the same time. And look at this, I found comes with a leatherette case, okay? And inside, stuffed in there, was a from the Talladega 500 race back in
oh
August
wow.
1978. Somebody must have taken the radio with them, probably had the little earpiece as the broadcast going on, and it found a little ticket, just bunched up inside. And I thought, well, that's kind of cool, just to see that in there. $25, which is in 78, pretty good money, for a ticket you know, uh,
Yeah.
Must
um,
have been a pit pass.
I don't know. Let's see here. I'd have to actually look at Talladega map and find out where section B, row 19, seat 9 is, how good that is. But I thought it was kind of fun just to see this. Look at that. So
That's
obviously
that's that's right around the time they were driving the wing cars. They were doing 208 miles an hour around there.
not far from it.
All those
Uh,
big wing road runners, and
yeah,
oh my
Yep.
God.
and that was pretty cool. And here's, just an up close, and and then here's it in the case. It has the original case with it. And I thought, wow, this is nice, and nice shape. And the ticket was just stuffed in the back. When I pulled out the radio, out came the ticket stub, and I thought, wow, that's pretty fun. Um, and oh yeah, this Philco portable record
Ah,
player, the R1376 came along,
Wow.
and I thought, well, that's kind of fun. Battery, it's
Oh,
battery.
it's got a radio in it too.
Yeah, it's an AM radio as well. Oh, it's just
Wow.
so you don't see these too often. It's 30, it does, 45 and 33 and
Yeah.
radio. Um,
play your records at the beach.
you could, this is a just, with a little bit of closer look of it, but it's dirty. It needs to be cleaned up, but it's basically as I got it. Um, here's it closed up. So the case is over. It's a mini radio phono. And of course, you can tell it's late 60s because it's got the Ford symbol there too. So it's Philco Ford. So that definitely puts you into the late 60s, but kind of fun.
Hmm.
Typically in the 60s, bright red, and um, and then last but not least, came along this Motorola Pixie. And here is the back opened up with the original batteries, or not the original maybe, but a replacement set with a 48 volt, battery pack all in there still. Um,
Wow.
like the little mini
Ever
tubes.
ready.
Yeah, and I love the old Eveready symbol. It's like walking into like a time capsule. Um, in fact, here's
Oh,
sort of
that's got
the
the weird tubes in it.
yeah, it's got the little mini sub miniature tubes.
Yeah, it's got a couple sub miniatures and then a 1R5.
Yeah, in fact, here's the little
Okay.
schematic they have right there. One R5, one AH4, one AJ5, one AG4, and everything is there for the all the world to see. So I thought, wow, that's really fun. So it's like a time capsule. Radios just stopped working, and they just found a way into a closet. And here's the front. It needs to be a little bit cleaned up, but there is the Motorola Pixie, and this is, I think it's like very late 50s, early 60s. Oh, actually, late 50s, I believe. Um, a neat radio. And it's really surprisingly not that big. It's just the moment I picked it up, I said, this has got to be a tube radio because I didn't know really a lot about the Pixie radio, but it had the heft that says, there's no way this is a solid state. And sure enough, opening up, and of course, seeing the big battery pack adds, probably 40% of the weight is probably just the battery packs, 40, 50% of the weight. But at any rate, that,
Hmm.
boys, was my find. So I'm going to probably, go through these a little more carefully, and I may on Spring Brookline put a few of these on the table for sale for very reasonable money, and whatever I make on it just goes right to the guy who dropped them off. And I told him, hey, anytime you're cleaning out houses and you find these things, I will see what I can do
Mhm.
for you. You
It's
know.
actually kind of, well, I just pulled it up and I got an AI overview on the Google on it. It was made in 1955 and it's
Oh,
supposedly
okay, or older than I thought.
supposedly very collectible but for the fact that it's sub miniature,
Interesting.
sub miniature tubes in it.
Oh,
So I don't know.
I'll have to think about this, but I'll have to go have a look at it and see. And I haven't had much time to inspect
You
these
might
in
want to
detail.
see what the eBay wish numbers are for that.
Yeah, it's a
You
good
never
point.
know. There's people out there that want that stuff. I know that.
Well, it is unusual, and thanks for reminding me that it's actually older than I thought. I was thinking it was late 50s or maybe even early 60s, so it's even older. So it's actually a pretty cool little radio. And it's surprisingly compact for a tube radio.
Hmm.
Yes, it sort of almost approaches what solid state radio sizes were, but a lot lighter, of course, when they were solid state. But at any rate, so I know we ran a little bit over time, but we had a lot of good stuff going on here, and
Yeah.
I certainly want to appreciate you guys hanging in there. I wish you a good 2 weeks off. Oh, next Thursday, the quick announcement because some of you guys are regular attendees. I'm going to try to make next Thursday the next off-topic meeting. Okay, I'm traveling on Wednesday, so I can't. I'm heading back to Massachusetts on Wednesday, so I can't actually run the meeting on Wednesday. But Thursday should work. So if it works for you guys,
What
you know,
date is that?
that would
Is
be
it
the let's see, it would be the 20th.
20th?
Yeah. So it'd be Thursday, 7:30, usual drill. But so that's the game plan. And and then of course our next normal meeting will be on the 26th. So anyway, I wish you guys a terrific evening, what's left of it. And
Just as a teaser
ah,
for that meeting, I have some wonderful pictures of a 1932 electric car with tons of batteries in front and back and a handle that you steer with rather than a wheel that you steer with.
Yep.
So
a
don't miss
tiller. A tiller, yes. So there you go.
Did
There's a
did you
trailer,
did you
guys.
build that?
No,
But you
it
did
was
rehome it.
at the Stowe Car Show
Oh,
last
really?
weekend.
Okay.
Tom came over to rehome it, so they're all squared away.
Did they have any hit and miss engines at that show?
Yeah, there were a couple, yeah. But if you can get them on eBay now all the time, I've been seeing them, or even Craigslist.
Yeah, shipping can be a bit of an issue.
Yeah,
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I guess I'll let you go. And
All
so
right.
hopefully I'll see you on next Thursday. Meanwhile, have a
Awesome.
great week. Thanks
All
for all the
right.
great, terrific stories and fun discussions, and looking forward to our next meeting.
have a
Okay.
good.
All
Take
right,
care.
boys. Take care. Good night now.
Good night.